Alright, so real quick, I'm going to talk to you guys about these Harbor Freight Pro-Line impact sockets. And I'm going to tell you guys what I'm using these for, and you're probably not going to believe me when I tell you what I'm using them for. I've actually been using these things for the last 2 years. When we go out on the road doing locations, I've been using them around the house for my regular shop use, but when we get on the road, we use this machine right here to break bolts. Specifically, all I do is break bolts with this thing. So we go to a location, a 1/2 inch red head in the ground, and we tighten them up and just keep running it tight until they break off. This socket right here has broken probably 600-700 bolts. Okay, we've had to use the 1 inch. I did a 5/8 one day. We had 5/8 red heads, and we were using that's the 1 inch socket, and we broke those with this machine. So this is the Harbor Freight Earthquake Impact, as well as these sockets. So what I'm talking to you guys about right now is the sockets themselves. Are these as good as any major tool brand like Snap-on or Mac? I'm gonna say that these are just as good as quality as any major tool brand I've ever used. Now, I won't tell you that on the cheaper Harbor Freight ones. I don't know. I don't have any of them. But these in particular, if you see these have this little groove in them, these are the Pro line. They're a little more money than the regular cheap lines, but these things are super, super hard. I don't know what they make them out of. I'm not sure how good the steel is, but I'm going to tell you right now, I've broken 600-700 bolts. Use this machine, specifically abuse this machine to do something, because it's the fastest way to do it. Like I said, I've tried to, on my other video, on this a review on this machine after 2 years of use. I'll even show you in my first video that I have used this machine specifically to break bolts, and it does it no problem. You just start tightening that bolt up until it snaps off. And the reason I do that versus cutting them off with a cutoff wheel or knocking them back and forth with a hammer, if you ever broken a red head off, a lot of times you can just take the, first of all, take the nut off and then just bend it back and forth until the red head breaks, right? These ones here, if you bend it back and forth about 15 times, it breaks. Now, you know, or if you cut it halfway through with a cutoff wheel, you can get it to come off. But this is the problem we're running into. When I try and loosen up the bolts, a lot of them are rusted. They don't want to come off, and you end up with that problem. And then it also takes longer to take the nut off and, you know, cut halfway through it with a cutoff wheel and then try and snap it off with a hammer than it does for me to tighten it until this thing breaks the bolt. So that's how powerful this machine is, and that's how strong these sockets are. I mean, we're using it to break bolts, and I have not had a warranty yet on this thing. I've been just snapping off bolts, and we've done probably 800 bolts with this thing, and not one has broken the socket. So anyway, if you're thinking about buying some impact sockets from Harbor Freight, and you want, definitely get the Pro line ones. I don't know about the cheap ones, but the Pro line, man, these things are just as good as any other tool brand I've ever used. Talk to you in the next video. Please like, share, and subscribe.